Good morning, everyone. I didn't want to. I knew you were looking something up, but I didn't want to correct you, so you could be flipping through it as the stream started. And welcome to the dev chat for today, September 4th, 2019. I am Will Hungerford, lead developer. With me is Jeff Olson.
Hello.
Playtest coordinator. And missing is Oz Schoonover, our leader.
Yeah.
Our main source of motivation and encouragement. So it's just a madhouse in here right now as Oz is on vacation for the entire week, hopefully not watching this stream. Hopefully Oz is asleep right now or just doing something else. If you've never joined us before, we stream twice a week here at Privateer Press and sometimes more. On Wednesdays at 10 a.m. is the Dev Chat, what you're watching now, where we from the development team come on and talk about stuff relating to the mini games we make. Typically War Machine, Riot Quest, or Monpok. Today we're having a War Machine talk.
Bah.
That's every Wednesday. Every Thursday is Get Your Paint On with Jordan Lamb, and that is where Jordan paints the models that we make, typically upcoming models, and goes over different hobby tips and tricks. Then there are special shows we do. Once a month we do the Staff Showdown. The next one is coming up on the 10th. It will be Oz and Faye playing a game of Monster Apocalypse if you want to watch a live battle report. And a new show starting last Friday with Danny Samuels, that's our terrain specialist, is the Hobby Hangout, where Danny teaches you how to make terrain, how to do kit bashing, and how to do really cool conversions. He built an artillery piece on the last one. Danny is really flying by the seat of his pants and requires your viewership for that show to continue being on the schedule. I mean, at this point, the dev team, we've got this on lock. Like, they would never conceivably cancel us.
Yeah.
And like, Get Your Paint On, same thing. Jordan, job security for days. But Danny, without your help, that show and maybe Danny will go away. So please know that that is on you.
Yeah, this is like back in the day on television where it's like he has a prime time slot, but maybe he gets moved to like Tuesday at 9 p.m.
Yeah, we will stream Danny at 2 in the morning on Wednesdays.
Yeah, he'll be like the horse stuff on the Olympics, which is at like 2 in the morning.
If you don't tune in.
Dressage.
Also want to talk about real fast Mini Crate, because there's a couple that are ending like today. So the main Mini Crate, War Machine Hordes Mini Crate, the current model is the Brew Bearer, the alternate Rune Bearer for Trolls. That just changed over, so you have a good, 15 days, because September 19th is when it ends. 15 days left to get that one. And the Transfer Dancer is the 6-month VIP subscription model. If you do a 6-month sub, you'll get that in your next shipment. You got a long time for that one. However, for you Legend of the Five Rings fans, Doji Hataru, today is the last day. Please order your Doji if you want to get one, because after this, it's about to swap over. And Sadako is still available as the VIP model. Over on the Savage Mini Crate, that's the Robert E. Howard Mini Crate. Solomon Kane.
I saw a lot of people posting they got their King Conans.
Yes, and it means that it's time to see some sweet paint jobs.
And I definitely saw someone talking about converting the King Conan into that carver from the classic carver art of him.
Oh, yeah, from the original one. That would look awesome.
Yeah.
But King Conan, if you do a 6-month sub on Savage Mini Crate, you get yourself the King Conan, so pick that up. Hey, everyone in chat on Twitch and Facebook. We will be talking to you as much as we can. We're going to cover a few different topics, and we like to interact with you as much as possible. Today, what we're talking about is we're going to be talking about Oblivion, because Oblivion is about to come out. I know that it pre-released at Gen Con, and the new rules are available, like the new theme force and stuff, they're all available on War Room. But the actual box set, with all the goodness in it, is coming out on September 13th. And there's a couple things that we hadn't covered, and one of the things we want to talk about is the narrative campaign, specifically the card system that's in it, and how that's going to be used later on in more campaigns that we're going to put out for free that all relate to the Oblivion campaign system in the box. And just kind of go through that, because for the people that got it at Gen Con and have had time to set it up, people that have been playing the narrative campaign, which is a massive portion of the Oblivion box set, are having a blast right now.
Yeah, I actually wandered into Mox the other day, and a whole crew of people were playing it.
Yeah, and it's something that you play over like 4 to 6 weeks. You can play it at storage, you can play it in your house, you can play it wherever you want. You can go camping and play it. It's built for 2 to 4 players, so this could be a 1v1 campaign. About 16-ish scenarios, and usually you're going to play, like I said, for 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how fast you play your games. So for everyone in chat right now asking, will there be any spoilers today? No. Today is a spoilerless stream. We have no spoilers to give you today. We can't always do spoilers every dev chat.
There's only so many spoilers.
There's only so many
They
spoilers.
only go for so long.
There's only so many spoilers. I know that the next dev chat is probably the Riot Quest dev chat, and we usually give out some spoilers during those as well.
I won't be there.
Yeah, you won't.
I'll be in Japan. This is the last time you guys will see my face for a while.
Oh yeah.
Although you'll hear my voice tomorrow.
So
My dulcet tones.
oh, you're on Get Your Paint On.
Yeah. But this is the last time to take in this for a few weeks.
Everyone screenshot it and enjoy it.
Yep.
So today, just talking about the campaign. One thing that we just didn't cover in the insiders and all of our marketing is we didn't go through the cards, and we actually want to just talk about the cards, kind of show everybody like the rules that are on them, talk about the fun uses, and let people see some of the crazy stuff that can happen in the campaign.
Yep.
So, quick overview of what the campaign is. Inside Oblivion,
See,
Yep.
good thing I prepped it. Got it open.
you get this book.
By the way, the book is succulent.
Succulent. Oh, I almost took my mic off and walked out, like, because nothing's ever going to top that.
Yep.
In the box set, you get the Hermit of Henchhold model, which is a little popular. People seem to like it. Mm-hmm. The alternate, or the revised rules digest, which is the combined War Machine and Hordes rules remix with all the new stuff in it. But the main thing you're getting is this thick old boy right here, which is all the fluff and art about the arrival of the Infernals, the history of the cosmos of the IK, what really happened to the Iosian gods, just a ton of just.
Dude, spoiler alerts.
I mean.
By the way, and I should point out that the fluff in here is awesome. And
Yeah, if you're a lore fanatic.
And there's so many people on like the Facebook groups and the Discords who are like, someone feed me spoilers, but wait, don't feed me spoilers, I want to read it. And there's just a lot of people going back and forth who want to know, but then they don't want to know because they want to read it themselves. And everyone's just kind of going crazy about it. I remember like at Gen Con, I was sitting next to Travis and he got his, and he was just sitting there and like every 15 minutes he'd be like, oh my God.
Is that your Travis impersonation?
Yeah, that's really close.
Okay.
I've been working on it for a few days. Been workshopping it.
Yeah, if you're into not just like the current lore, but the actual like cosmology of the Iron Kingdoms and the world of Cain, this is the book you want to read. It literally is like the beginning of time kind of stuff, and really does go into like what really happened to Syra and all the other Iosian gods. Where are they gone? What was the real deal? I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you get this deep like game master view that you normally, a lot of the storylines in the lore we've done has been from the perspective of the heroes, the villains, the soldiers. Sometimes almost national overviews, but to get the god overview, this is one of the first and only times it's ever happened. So I definitely recommend picking it up. And Doug Seacat, who wrote a ton of it, did an amazing job. So there's some really excellent stuff. But as for those of you that are into narratives and into the lore, the other thing that might interest you is the gigantic narrative campaign in here. What we've introduced in the book is the Oblivion campaign system. So it's a set of rules that say this is how you run an Oblivion campaign. And then with that is the first campaign. Every campaign is a branching tree campaign for 2 to 4 players, and it's a very specific story. And so you get the first full campaign in here, which is like all of these pages. Like it's like that much of the book.
Helpful.
Is just like it's enough. And then this is the actual rules themselves. But the core rules of how to run one of these campaigns stays the same. And we're going to put out more campaigns, which will come with like 16 to 20 new scenarios every time for free.
Well, it gives an opportunity to like provide a cool product to people who want something other than just like the competitive tournament. The people who want a cool way to put the models on the table.
Yes. And the funny thing is, there's a lot of people like that. They're not as vocal as the more competitive players. Like our more competitive-minded players are the most vocal group.
It's also, I mean, the competitive players also like that is a group of players where communication is vital. Where you're talking about
because you're talking strats.
Yeah, you're talking strategy, your list, all that kind of stuff. And this is just really to kind of honestly kind of pander to the people who want something a little bit more flavorful and narrative and fun, and they can just put whatever models they on the table and not feel bad about it. Yeah. Just have a good time.
The person who's like, I'm not playing themes. I like Circle Cav, so I'm just gonna have Wolf Riders and Mist Riders, right? That's just, and I'm gonna run Morvana too. I just want things on goats and wolves, and like that's their list. Or you can play this competitive, like with competitive lists if you want to, but know that the scenarios are specifically written with asymmetrical goals.
I think the really cool thing that I've seen a lot of people talking about the campaign too is so many people are saying that this is a great way to introduce people to War Machine.
It is.
That people are using the first scenario as like, this is the best introduction to teach people the core concepts of War Machine.
And we see Tony's brought up on the screen the actual scenario, like the first campaign map. So, brief overview. Each person tracks their own storyline. Everybody runs through the prologue, which is the first 3 scenarios. Then basically, based on your win or losses, you move to different points along the tree. So every player is telling their own individual plot within the greater story. And then, as you see, all lines go back to a single mega event where everyone that's in the campaign plays a giant mega battle to determine the ultimate winning side. When you play, you're representing one of 2 teams. You're either a corruptor or a guardian, which means you're either helping the Infernals, whether willingly or unknowingly, or you're someone who's trying to stop all the madness and chaos that's going on. And the first campaign introduced Stygian Prophecies is about that. It's about something weird is happening. Nobody knows what's really occurring. This is like just before the invasion, and people are having visions. They're saying, like, oracles are spouting out prophecies. Something terrible is coming, and certain people are trying to take advantage of the chaos and the paranoia, and other people are trying to keep the peace, even if they have to do it through violent means to stop the marauders and opportunists out there. And your story basically goes through how well you do. Are you able to save the village? Protect the watchtower? Are you able to raid the vaults? Or do you end up doing so poorly that you have to go steal from like a train depot full of people evacuating and literally steal their luggage in order to get supplies to feed your soldiers? And you have your own story, but eventually at the end, you end up at the Gateway to Oblivion scenario, and this is the big finale where you all end up in a city where one of the infernal gates is opening, and depending on your team, you're either trying to help open the gate because you see a promise of power, or you're trying to close it. And depending on how you did throughout the campaign, you might have different benefits and bonuses to use in that scenario.
And you've been running these like cool narrative games at the cons and stuff we've been doing, like a Gen Con. Would you say that those have been very heavily inspired by this big final mega battle kind of thing?
Yes, I would say that actually this was probably more inspired by them.
Yep.
Yeah, and because those events are always sell out. They're some of our best attended events. Those giant, like the Battle of Boar's Gate, the Sky Ship, and all that kind of stuff. But what we want to talk about specifically today was the Omen cards that you get in the box. So when you open the box of Oblivion, you get that giant book we're talking about, you get your Hermit model, you get the new rule set, but you get a deck of cards. And what these are is no matter which of these campaigns you end up playing, when you play a game, you are taking on one of 2 roles. This is regardless of which team you're representing. You're either the protagonist, which means you are playing a scenario on your tree, and whether you win or lose on your scenario tree determines where you go next, which scenario is your active scenario on your plot. When you play against someone else, you're the antagonist. You are a force fighting against their goals and trying to stop whatever they're trying to do on their scenario tree. So as the protagonist, you want to win because you kind of get better results along the scenario tree. But as the antagonist, you might be like, well, why am I encouraged to win? Because I can force them down a worse side of the tree, but what else do I get? And that's one of the mechanics we added to them was these cards. When you are the antagonist for somebody, if you win your game, every scenario in the book says you earn a certain amount of deck draws. And this is a resource, it's the only resource you have to track throughout the entire campaign. You can collect as many as you win, but you can never use more than 3 on any one game. And when you use them, you simply deduct that amount. So say you had 7 deck draws earned and you played a game, you could spend 2. You would take your deck, and everybody gets their own deck of Oblivion cards.
It's kind of the main reason why everyone sort of needs their own box besides...
Yeah, everybody wants to have their own deck.
And the model, everyone needs their own deck to play the campaign.
And then you shuffle your deck up, and then you draw however many cards that you decided to pick. The cards will either... They all tell you when to play them. So some say play immediately, some say play this time, some say hold this and play it whenever this trigger occurs, and then they tell you exactly what they do. And then after the game, they just go back to your deck. So just because you drew one doesn't mean you won't draw it again, possibly in another game.
Do you want to actually just throw one up just so we can kind of show the audience? Let's pick one at random, Tony. Foresight. There we go.
Yeah, so this is a pretty simple one. And what we're going to do is, since we did not preview these, we're just going to show you the 20 cards so you all kind of get a feel of some of the cool effects you can get in the campaign and some fun things we were thinking you could do with them. So Foresight's a super simple one. You can play this card when rolling to determine first player, roll 2 dice instead of 1, choose either dice result. These cards are of varying power levels, and that's intentional. When they were all designed, there are supposed to be cards that when you draw them, you're like, holy hell, this is a card. And then some of them are like, this is good. Foresight it's okay. It's a decent card. Maybe you really want to go first or second, and this just helps you, get that result a little bit.
Well, here, let me ask a quick clarifying question for the audience.
Yeah, what's up?
So let's say you spend your 3 of your draws and you draw 3 cards.
Boop, doop, boop.
Now you get to play all of those during the game.
Yep.
If you want. You don't have to just play one of them.
No.
And what happens if you hold on to them?
If you don't use them by the end of the game, you just lose them. Yeah, they're spent.
So so it can be beneficial. Like I can't remember what we were saying, some of them are very powerful, and maybe you want to go really big into a game, so you spend 3 draws, and you might get Foresight, which is useful, can help you choose to go first or second. But then you might get other really powerful cards, which we'll kind of run through. But you get to use all of them in the course of a game if you want to, or all the draws that you expend.
Adam Morley on Facebook, will the decks be sold separately? I don't think so at the moment. I think they're part of the box set, as far as I am aware, that's got everything in it at one time. So let's look at another card. We're going to look through all 20 cards.
Let's breeze through them.
Obfuscating Whispers, I do like this card. You can play this at the end of your opponent's deployment. Choose an enemy unit. The chosen unit must redeploy, but cannot deploy within 6 inches of their initial position.
This can really this can mess things up, especially when people kind of deploy like their combat line, as it were.
Yeah.
And you pick this here's this unit of long gunners that's just right in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool.
Nope.
Yeah, and now they got to go elsewhere because you can't put any of the dudes within 6 inches of where any other dudes in the unit were.
Yeah,
which probably means they're in Narnia.
Yeah, it sends people to Narnia, and that's just a really fun one to play. DGC on Twitch says, does the book give a suggestion of what terrain should be played? Absolutely. In fact, every scenario tells you what kind of terrain you should use and if there's any special rules for terrain. So, because a lot of these create very thematic ones. Like when I talked about robbing the train to steal luggage to feed your troops, that's actually a scenario in here. When things have gone really bad for you, there's one where you're trying to be train robbers with what's left of your army, and you have a little train station and train tracks and stuff like that. Let's look at one of the next ones, Tony. We're just going to kind of breeze through these. Preparation, you can play this card immediately after all players have deployed. Place it to 2 trench terrain features on the table, and then it kind of gives you rules on where they can go.
Yeah.
So this one's like a theme force benefit. You just grab this card, but you play it
You know what's good? Trenches.
Yeah. After everyone's deployed, you just go, I put 2 trenches down here, and then my Harbinger runs inside the trenches. Or literally anything I don't want to have die.
If you combine that with a theme force that gets trenches, you just have a huge trench field on the table.
Oh God, that would be, and then some blockhouses.
Yeah, or
2 blockhouses, and then just queso coddle. I don't think that's Quetzalcoatl. I think it's queso coddle. Queso. It is queso coddle. Queso coddle on Twitch says, how many points is a starting Oblivion campaign army before the ups and downs of campaign play? So the first scenarios are the prologue, and they actually don't use warcasters or jacks, not until later on in the prologue. But you don't play a caster at all in the prologue. I think the opening scenario is literally a unit and a solo, and it gives you point values. Then it's a unit, a couple solos, and a light warjack. And you start off with a force that doesn't even have a warcaster. Then your casters attach in. So you start off sub 25 points. You start off at the most introductory level to War Machine, which is here's your long gunners, and here's a GMCA. Play with the rules, have fun. And the scenarios are built for that level of play, all the way up to 75-point games in the last tier. And then the mega battle it's 100 points per side, and you divvy that up depending on how many players there are. So if it's a 1v1 campaign, you each play 100 points. If it's a 4-player campaign, you each play as many points as your side wants. It is a 2-caster mega battle per side. So I could play 75, and you could play 25.
Or you could split it down the middle.
Yeah.
You could do really interesting things with that. You could have really fun, weird army comps where someone's playing a super scouty force of here's my 18 points.
Right.
You've got
here's my 5th Border Legion.
Yeah.
And you're just going to play all the army.
My army is a victor.
Yeah. So yeah, let's preparation. This is just a fun card, just a good card.
Yeah.
Let's hit up the next one, Tony. Open War. You can play this before determining first player. All models lose ambush and advance deploy.
Yep.
This card just says no tricks.
This one can be very targeted, basically.
Yeah.
This is the one that shows up in your hand, and you're like, this is a good example of a card that can be either extremely powerful or just okay.
Yeah.
Depending on what your opponent's force composition looks like.
But just the idea of just open war. No tricks. Nobody snuck on. We're fighting this fight out in the open. Everybody out. Andrew Brown on Facebook says, Hungerford, you're a beautiful example of a man. And then there's a bunch of kissy faces in chat. Next card, Tony. Let's go on. Tony's like, I've already skipped. Thank you, Andrew. Veil of Shadow, you can play this card at the start of your turn. Pick pick 2 points on 2 different table edges and draw an imaginary straight line between the two. The line blocks line of sight for 1 round.
Yeah.
This card is also you just mess with people so hard. The most obvious.
And some of the ones we've been looking at, kind of up until this point, have been like deployment things.
Right.
This is just a thing you do during the game. It just happens.
At the start of your turn, right?
Yeah.
But it's at the start of your turn, so it's not like your force gets to walk up, shoot,
or
and
charge,
then you go, I block line of sight to the entire table. You have to do this at the start of your turn, so you do have to plan around it. But it's any 2 points on 2 different table edges, so a lot of people are probably going to go left table edge, right table edge, right?
Sure.
Just make that line if you want to.
No, I would draw a line directly through 2 models that are engaged in melee, so suddenly they can't see each other.
I know, right? Like there's so many like fun options.
Yeah.
Or a line like vertical, where it's just like, well, this half's fighting this half,
Yeah.
and if you want to attack someone else, you got to jump the line. Veil of Shadow in our playtesting is one of those. Matthew Goodale says, does this line block line of sight to huge base models? It blocks line of sight to everything.
Yeah.
And this is a card
That is definitely the intent for sure. Like that's what we want it to do.
It just blocks line of sight. You can't see anything.
And let's also say too, like this campaign is just for fun. Like if you want to fiddle with the cards, if you want to like
Make
do
your own?
your own thing,
Yeah.
If you want to make little adjustments just because it's more fun for you, or you want to do something cool, then do it. Like
Yeah, 100%. This card is so much fun. This card you just play and nonsense happens every time.
yeah.
Tony, hit me up with the next one. Destiny Architect. This is a simple one, but it's got a lot of application. You can play this card immediately after a player has made any dice roll.
Yep.
But before resolving that roll, the dice roll must be re-rolled. So this is any dice roll. So Scar sacks somebody and rolls to see how much focus she gets. You can make him re-roll it. Tough rolls, you can make him re-roll it. First player, you can make him re-roll it. The amount of damage that Harbinger takes from Martyrdom.
Yep.
If it's a die roll, you can make them re-roll.
This is the card that I suspect would generate the most laughs for some people playing at home around a couple beers, where someone's like, I make this attack roll and I puppet strings it and I have Hand of Fate, and then you're like, and I play this, so you got to re-roll it.
Oh yeah, it just
and just stuff is happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of really fun and absurd things you can do with just making anybody, yourself or your opponents, re-roll anything whatsoever. So that one's just fun. Warding Word
Yeah,
is
don't say
one
that
of the,
one 5 times fast.
This one's crazy powerful. So you can play this card anytime during your turn. Choose a friendly warrior model / unit. Notice it doesn't say non-warcaster or non-warlocks. This works on your caster units. Choose a friendly warrior model / unit. Then choose either melee attacks, ranged attacks, or magic attacks. The chosen model / unit can't be targeted by the chosen type of attack for 1 round. So your caster, you're just like, you can't shoot me for 1 round.
Yeah.
It can't even be targeted.
My headcanon for this one is definitely like an Archon rolling down and being like, whoa.
Yeah. Just out of nowhere. Now, it doesn't work on Jacks, so you can't do it on your Colossals, but you can do it on your, like, I don't know, Butcher 3.
What I want to do is I want to make like cool like tokens or models for all the cards, and I want to just have like a giant choir member for this one. Just like put on the table, like on the person is targeting.
Yeah? Just an enormous...
Yeah, like a huge...
Like a 6-inch...
I want to take like a Supreme Guardian, and I want to convert him to look like a huge choir guy with like, and this like being like, boom, I'm warding this guy.
Matthew Goodell on Facebook says, because I need Doom Reavers to have parry, well, just draw this card. This is how your Doom Reavers get parry. Or your Omademos just jamming right in the middle of the army. There's a lot of nonsense you can do with this card, and this is definitely one of the strongest ones you can pull.
Oh yeah, here we go. Angry Mohawk into it says, Heretic with Tongue Lick. So you can't target him with warrior melee attacks from the parlay. Heretic can't be targeted by spells, and then you make it. Yeah, so he's just wandering around the table.
He's just
immune
basically
to literally everything.
Yeah, that's some old school Scar 2 feet stuff right there. Just don't target him. The Mist's simple but effective. Play it anytime during your turn. Put down 3-inch AoE cloud effects. They last for 1 round. So you can definitely like block off a lot of line of sight, give some concealment, whatever you need. This is just a very straightforward but generically useful card.
I heard clouds are good.
Clouds are good.
Yeah, and like this is one of those cards that's like kind of subtle because like everyone knows and loves clouds. Clouds are a very, very powerful effect in War Machine. But when you're like, I just slap it on my Prowl model.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, campaigns have different effects, and the campaign effect for Stygian Prophecies is Maddening Mists, which I will read right here. Or sorry, Creeping Madness is the name we gave it. So this is when you're playing this specific campaign, not other campaigns, but it works with this card. It's basically a model that begins its activation within a dense fog terrain feature must use its normal movement to run.
Because they creepy.
Yeah. So while this doesn't, because these are just 3-inch AoE cloud effects, they're not dense fog terrain. But if you ever have something that creates dense fog or a way to create it, like that's another way to make people go batty.
The spoopy. Can I get some ghosts in chat? Some spoopylons.
Oh, we see Travis is saying that the mists have the terrain effect of the campaign. No, they're cloud effects. They're not dense fog, so they are different. Let's get to the next card. Spontaneous Combustion. You can play this card anytime in your turn. Choose 2 different terrain features. They become burning earth hazards for the remainder of the game. So going back to terrain changing, if we did another campaign where burning earth did something, this is a card that could possibly interact with it. But yeah, just 2 things catch on fire. Sorry. Your trench caught on fire. Your shallow water caught on fire. Your cloud caught on fire. You play this with preparation, and you make 2 trenches, and you put it on their side, and they walk in, and then they just catch on fire.
Yes.
You just got them. It's like a saw trap.
Got them.
All right, let's see what we got next.
Real quick, here's a question I wanted, but I actually don't know the answer to this, so maybe someone can help me. Is when is Oblivion coming to UK? Is there a different street date for Oblivion in the UK? Does anyone know off the top of their head? We'll look into that, and hopefully we'll have some kind of answer for you. But that's a good question. I apologize because I don't know.
I know that it's the main release is September 13th. I don't know if there's a different.
I know Hanley's in chat. Maybe he has an answer he can kind of feed to us. But that's a good thing for us to know. Thank you.
Yeah. The terrain is on fire.
Yeah, that is a hot combo. That I love that a lot. Trench plus fire.
Matthew Goodell says, do they remain their old terrain type as well, burning earth and forest? They do. So you can have a burning earth forest. Arcantric Seal. You play this at the start of the game. Choose a number between 1 and 3. Models cannot use their feats for a number of game rounds equal to the number chosen. So if you've got somebody who typically pops feet early game, you could just be like, nope.
And the reason you choose a number and you wouldn't just automatically choose 3 is because it affects
you as well.
Yeah.
Like nobody can use their feet for whatever number you choose. It's not
it's not like you get to do this at any point during your turn. You're doing this at the beginning of the game.
Yes.
So you are definitely impacting yourself as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a catcher who wants to pop feet late game, like say you have like a recursion feat or something like that, you might call out like 2 or 3. Like it depends on who you're facing.
Yeah. But the funny thing is how you can definitely mess yourself up because you might say, oh yeah, I'm playing someone whose feet I might want to use later on in the game, and then your opponent just pushes super hard into you, and you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Can I feat yet?
What's funny is that if you're both playing with the cards, like you both earn some cards and you both do deck draws, because any player can use these during any game, and you both pull this one out, and someone's like, I choose 1, and you're like, I choose 3.
Yep.
And you just like slam it on them, they're like, oh, okay.
You triggered my trap card.
Acrostor on Twitch says, what if I pick 2.5? You and your opponent will have to figure that one out.
And then Hanley, graciously in Twitch chat says, all privateer press release dates are intended to be worldwide, so we don't have separate release dates. So the UK release date should be the same as our US one, coming up here in a couple weeks.
So Nick
10 days, something like that?
Nick and Matthew on Facebook said, how does this apply to Arcana? It doesn't. Arcana aren't feats, so this only affects feats. Cheers, Grimkin players.
Yep.
You cheated the system again.
Yep.
I hope you're proud of yourselves.
I am very proud of myself.
Constantly. All right, let's hit up the next one. Hand of Fate. You play this card when a friendly model is directly hit by an enemy melee attack or ranged attack. Put a die into one of your hands in secret, then hold up both of your hands to your opponent. Your opponent must choose a hand. If your opponent chooses the hand with a die in it, the attacking model is directly hit by the attack instead and suffers all damage and effects. This is hilarious.
Yes.
This card is just fun. When like a big like butcher comes into your caster and whacks him right in the face, and you're like, pick a hand.
Yep, bop.
Yeah. Oh, you got the wrong one? Just smack yourself right in the face. Tony, you going to? This card has brought up so many possible fun opportunities. Reinforcements. Well, this one's pretty simple. This is a must play, not a can play. So you must play this card when it is drawn.
Yeah.
Immediately add a solo with a point cost of 4 or less to your army for free.
Boom.
Like, just, there you go. This is before anything else happens. You just get a free model.
It sounds great.
Chris Young says, how do you guys feel the new Theme Force remix is working out? Seems good from our side. Anything we are missing that you thought would be played? Nope.
I think the theme remix is going fantastically. I've been paying close attention to the community in general, and I haven't really seen anyone who's like, I prefer the old system. Like, I think everyone is pretty thrilled with how we evolved that system.
The variety in lists right now at the tournaments is phenomenal. And we are very much in the experimentation phase. The best phase of any like addition change or upgrade or FAQ or dynamic update is when everything gets shaken up and people are trying to figure out what's good again before everything settles. And it seems like it's taking longer to settle, which is excellent.
Yeah, I think it could be easily 6 months before or something like that, an arbitrary number, before we see things like settle, whatever settle means, right?
Well, settle's like when you just know that you're going to absolutely face list A, B, and C at a tournament, like, and it's going to be X percentage of the field, right? And right now, there's still a lot of experimentation going on right now. So we're really happy with how it's going on, and the list building creativity we're seeing return to the game.
Yep. And then someone says, does the model gained by reinforcements, is it affected by FA? Yes.
Yes.
So you can't put a second character.
Yeah. You're just getting
You can't have a fifth junior or something.
You are just getting a free model, but it still follows your normal list building restrictions. Hit me with the next one, Tony. Forbidden Knowledge. You must play this card when it's drawn. Choose a spell animus with a cost, so basically nothing that's free, on a friendly model's card, and the same thing on an enemy model's card. Each player's Warcaster, Warlock, or Infernal Master can cast the chosen spells and animi. So basically, let's say we're playing Vlad 1 versus High Reclaimer.
Sure.
And I'm playing High Reclaimer. And I play this card, and I go, Immolate Blood of Kings. So now you can cast Blood of King, or you can cast Immolate, Vlad, but my High Reclaimer can cast Blood of Kings. We open a spell up to each other. You can also just do it as an animi. So against Horrid, you could just be like, I don't know, Primal.
Lightning Strike,
Rush, whatever it is. It's just anything that has a cost, whether it's Focus, Fury, Forcing, or Spending. It's got a cost. You pick one of yours, you pick one of those. Theirs.
And the right answer is always TK.
The right answer is
always TK.
Always TK. But you have no choice. When you draw this card, you have to play it. This is not a can. This is a must. So you flip this card over and immediately resolve it and figure it out. Hit me with the next one, Tony Konachek. Blaze of Glory. You can play this card when a friendly solo ends its activation in which it destroyed an enemy model with an attack. It just activates again. And at the end of its second activation, it's removed from play. So, Lord of the Feast. I know he's not getting as much work done as he used to because now he's just really good instead of entirely too good. But he goes in, kills some guys, play Blaze of Glory. He just activates again, but at the end of it, he's dead. But if you're going to activate a solo twice, unless it's a range solo, because you could shoot somebody, activate again, and shoot him again. Like Strider Deathstalker.
Yeah, I was
Strider
literally about
work
to say,
done with this,
I was
this card.
literally about to say Deathstalker because they ended up killing like 6 models or something ridiculous.
They kill about 4 a turn.
Yeah.
It's 4 single wound infantry.
Yep.
But Matthew Goodell on Facebook says, "Dear God, Fenris with Blaze of Glory." Yeah, Fenris with Blaze of Glory it's a thing that happens. You know,
okay.
The thing with these cards are your opponent knows. Like these are all open information, so your opponent knows what cards have been drawn. So they're going to see it coming. Also, activate Reflex Servitor, charge Blaze of Glory. No, that doesn't work. I'm sorry. They do have to be alive.
Travis has got already Black Spot plus Deathstalker plus Blaze of Glory. That's like 100 models dead.
I like Neil Rose's suggestion on Facebook. Maxwell Finn.
Yeah, dude.
Maxwell Finn just goes, or Black Bella, who also can go ham. I'm going to go ham, murder the world. I finally missed, or I ran out of dudes to kill. Blaze of Glory, charge, and just keep going. So Blaze of Glory, potentially a very strong card if you brought a list that supports it. And remember, you don't draw until you've already shown up. So you know what you're going to be playing.
Yep.
Hit me with The next one, Tony. Sigil of Realignment. You can play this card at the start of your turn. Choose a friendly Warjack, War Beast, Monstrosity, or Horror. Place the chosen model anywhere on the table. It cannot activate this turn. This affects so many things in so many weird ways. Now, obviously, you don't get to just teleport a heavy behind their caster and murder them. That would not be a fun card to play. But this does let you do some really, really bizarre things, just to kind of set up wherever you want.
I would do it with Brick House on their caster, and he'd just be like standing there holding them there.
Yeah.
They can't move till you kill Brick
chill.
House. Yeah. Yo, bro, chillax.
Or you really need an arc node in a certain place to get arc some spells. You just Sigil of Realignment. My Revenger is now directly.
Someone, here we go. Acrastor says Sigil of Alignment plus Jackhammer. Now
Sigil of Alignment plus Jackhammer is hilarious. We actually saw that in playtest.
Now we're cooking with gas.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. Or you could also do it with Broadside.
Yeah, you could do it, but Jackhammer is going to be way more.
Yeah.
Just beat
I'm just saying, if you just want to put jacks in weird places.
But you could do this. I mean, turn one.
Yeah.
Your first player, top of one, Sigil of Realignment, and just boop. All right, turn around and deal with it. It's going to free strike you if you don't. Mm-hmm. And like, even though I can't give it focus, it can still do this on the Avatar. You just turn one, the Avatar teleports behind your caster. It can't activate. Go. Merry Christmas. Let's go and hit the next one.
This is the one that I thought was really
I
neat.
love Hysteria.
Yeah, this one's cool.
You can play this card anytime during your turn. Choose a model. Swap the model's base, defense, and armor for one.
Now, let me ask a clarifying question for the audience out there. Can I play this between dice rolls? Can I make my attack roll, play the card, make my damage roll?
This is so when it plays and it says anytime, it follows normal anytime effects. So like a caster can cast a spell anytime, they can pop a feat anytime, follows the same rule. So no, you can't separate.
And I think that's important for people to understand that I can't hit your def 10 person
and then swap them over to
swap
armor.
them.
No, it's like a caster couldn't hit somebody, then cast a spell in between resolving damage. But this is any model. You could do this with your models. You could do it with any models. Man, have you ever seen an armor 20 or said a?
You mean a def 20 Kador Jack?
A def 20 arm 10 Kador Jack?
Actually,
because that's
really
funny.
You actually know who is really good on is Clamjacks, because they'll be def 20 and they'll still be like armor 14 or 15, whatever, with their shields or whatever it is.
They'll be def set because it's.
Or no, yeah, you're right. Base, they're 17. For some reason, and then they get +4 for shield or whatever. I forgot off the top of my head, but So you can still have like a really high defense and a really high armor. I like. There we go. Def 20 arm 7 Primaxium. Yeah, same thing with like a Mountain King.
Until you run into something that can auto hit you.
Yes.
And then you're just like, really I have made mistakes.
And then they armor pierce you, so you become like arm 3.
Let's go and hit the next one, Tony. I've lost count of how many we have left. Active Vengeance. You can play this card when a friendly model is disabled by an enemy attack anytime except while it's advancing. Can immediately advance up to 3 inches and make one basic attack. It can't be targeted by free strikes in this movement. This is a more, I want to say basic one, but has a lot of fun application, and it works on any friendly model. So if something beats you up, you can walk 3 inches and make an attack. Even if you're something that can't walk outside of your normal movement, so a colossal, gargantuan, you still get to make a basic attack. And it is a basic attack, so you can walk and shoot, walk and punch, walk and do anything. This gives you a last little like oomph for what you do. Hit me with the next one, Tony. Mock Injury. You can play this card anytime. Mock Injury, this means not a fake injury.
You're mocking, you're...
mock their injury.
Yeah.
You can play this card anytime during an opponent's turn. Choose a friendly model. Remove D3 plus 3 damage points from the chosen model.
This is a card that does exactly what it advertises.
Yep. Just nope. And it's during your opponent's turn.
Yes.
Not during your own turn. So somebody goes in for an assassination run, or tries to kill something big, they bop you, and then you just possibly heal 6 as a response. Gunner says, are these random cards? You earn how many cards you get to draw per game, but you can only draw up to 3, and the deck is random. So you never know which ones you're going to get from game to game. Which is why the power level of some of them are just stronger than others. Reverberating Runes. There's a couple cards like this that have a choose one effect.
A menu.
You can play this card at the start of your turn. Choose one. All blast damage is POW 10, regardless of the attack's POW. Or all models are immune to blast damage. The chosen effect lasts for 1 round. So it gives you one of 2 modes. Just girded for everybody or high explosive for everybody. And depending on who you're facing and what you're playing with, this gives you, and we didn't want to do a card that was just all mules are, like you'll notice like, all the cards we've shown so far are pretty much all useful. Like the one that
they're all army agnostic, with the possible exception of the feet one, obviously the Grim Kitten, but like every army can take advantage of a card.
The one that might have no effect, but it isn't a choose one, is the everybody loses AD in ambush. You may not be playing an army that has that, your opponent might not be, and that just never comes up. But the ones that were like, we didn't want to design one that was just all models are immune to blast damage because that's a little too situational. So we decided to do sort of both modes. Either blast damage is super good or everyone's immune to it and give the player in control of the card the mode they want to choose. So this became more of a real card to actually draw and get up things.
And there's a couple questions in chat. It was kind of reel it back real fast, give the breakdown. But essentially the way this works for those people who are just now tuning in is that as you play through the campaign, you earn deck draws from your personal deck.
Yeah, which are a resource that goes up and down as you spend them and earn them.
And when you start a game, you can be like, I'm going to use 1 or 2 or 3 of my deck draws, maximum of 3.
Maximum of 3 per game.
And then you're going to shuffle up your deck and draw them.
Yep.
And so your hand, as it were, from game to game, based on how many you're going to elect to spend, will vary and be different.
Yep, and then these cards tell you when you can play them. Some say you have to play them as soon as you draw them. Some say you have to play them before the game begins. And some are you can play them anytime, your turn, your opponent's turn, when a certain trigger is met. And then after the game, whether you use them or not, they go back into your personal Omen deck, and then the next game you play, and then you just deduct how many draws you've earned for the campaign, earn some more.
And this is one of the ways where if you play the campaign multiple times, it's going to feel different every time because different weird stuff is going to happen.
Not only are you playing a branching tree campaign that has different scenarios based on how you do.
I mean, it's always the same for me because I always win.
I found that to not be true.
I mean, yeah, it's not true.
So not only are you playing a different storyline based on your scenarios with totally different win conditions and like special rules, but then you also have these cards providing very, very different effects. So one thing we wanted to bake into this campaign was a lot of replayability that gave you a different experience many times. And I think the combination of these two helps get there. Tony, hit me with the next card, please. Primal Reflex is another choose one. You play this card at the start of your turn, choose one. All models gain Pathfinder, or all models lose and cannot gain Pathfinder. So again, this one, all models gain Pathfinder is just potentially useful. But again, this
unless your opponent has a ton of countercharging models.
And then it's super bad.
Yeah, this does technically affect your opponent, but only in pretty limited situations.
Jeremy Lane on Facebook, would everyone need their own Omen decks to play in the campaign? We do really recommend it because you put the cards back in the deck and you just get that many draws. If you were sharing a deck, that means that when you draw a really powerful card,
your opponent did not have the opportunity to draw the same card.
Yeah, basically. And this was all sort of designed in the idea that everyone would be pulling from the same pool. Not a shared pool, but the same pool for themselves. They'd have the access to the same
Everyone
resources.
has the same potential pool of cards.
Yeah. So we do recommend that everybody gets a deck out of the Oblivion box.
It's one of the ways we've tried to add as much value to this box as possible. We've tried to make it something that anyone would want for any reason. If you're someone who's really into the fluff, you're going to get a really cool fluff book. If you're really into different ways to play the game, you get the campaign.
And if you're into playing competitively, you get the Hermit.
Yeah.
So
we definitely want to make it feel like you got really good value out of the box.
So looks like, Tony, that was the last one, right? Primal Reflex. So the one other thing I'm going to bring up with these cards is, I mentioned earlier at the start of the show, the book tells you how to run a campaign and gives you the first campaign and all the scenarios you need for it. But we're going to put out more campaigns that plug into this system for free later on. But you will want the core rules of how to run a campaign, and you'll want the deck of cards, because you're going to use this deck of cards, all the ones we just went through, and we may add some more in the future, but you're going to use this core group of cards in every one of the Oblivion campaigns. And where Stygian Prophecies tells the story of the initial invasion, we're going to put out more campaigns later on that kind of go through the various stages of the Infernal Invasion and what is going on in the world and continue the story.
Yeah, it's all blue sky. We could do campaigns for anything if we, whatever we feel like doing. We could do even a prequel to this in a way. We can do stuff that continues the storyline. We can go all over the place. It
was built to be a campaign system that is usable in a lot of different ways. So that's what we wanted to kind of cover with everyone today. And we realized we hadn't actually talked about these cards and kind of show you how much fun they were.
Yeah.
But before we get out of here, Let's take a couple more questions from chat. So chat, if you've got any questions, I know we're on a little bit of like how much is the delay, Tony? Like
10 seconds.
10
like
seconds,
that.
something like that.
Yes, yeah.
But,
Are
so
the
everyone-
scenario? So here's a good question
Yeah.
that Travis asked: Are the scenario trees printable from the Privateer Press webpage?
No.
Yeah, not currently.
Nope, they're all in the book. Wargaming Tradecraft, will the cards be available for download from the rules site? Not at the moment, no. They're all part of the box set. DGC says, return to the beginning of the war. I'm super into this concept. We might, right? What we do want to do with the next upcoming campaigns for this is definitely
Continue the storyline.
continue the story, because a lot of people want to kind of know what happens next. That's not the right quest timeline where we know what happens next. What happens in the primary timeline. Will they be printable? I don't like photocopies. I don't think there's any plans at the moment. If that changes, we'll let you know.
Would it be possible to secretly assign everyone to their side for that campaign? I think that is an incredibly cool idea.
That does sound really fun.
Yeah. This is one of those situations where it's like, if you have a clever idea you want to homebrew for you and your buds while you're playing.
It doesn't work. And here's the reason why. It doesn't work as written. And that was what, Guinevere 17? So you're asking if you could secretly assign somebody to a Guardian or Corruptor. Here's why, is the tree splits very early on. In the prologue, it doesn't matter what side you're on, but your opening scenario that tells you which plot tree you go onto determines which side you picked. Because the good guy scenarios are very different than the bad guy scenarios, which are very different on who's winning and losing. So you would immediately know who's on his side, because none of the scenarios are
Pardon me.
neutral, right? None of them are like vanilla, this could be anybody. It's very clear, like, I am a corruptor. What I'm doing is helping the Infernals in some way. Like, I'm doing bad stuff. I'm killing people and robbing people and, trying to get all these, like, I'm going to go to a Morrowind graveyard and try and steal relics to corrupt them. One of the scenarios for the bad guys is literally to break into a church and kidnap a Morrowind priest. So if you're a good guy, you're probably not kidnapping clergy. So you would need to make new scenarios to do a hidden agenda. And maybe that's something we'll do in the future. It's a good idea.
That is cool. I mean, and it kind of goes back to, like, the cool narrative events you've been running. Like the Gen Con, for example, has, like, hidden team members and stuff.
Yeah.
People don't know. And that is, like, hidden identity stuff is always a cool idea that people always have a lot of fun with. And so, yeah, maybe that's the kind of thing we could address in the future with future campaigns for sure.
Cosmos BC says, will we use this to finish out fiction like Hellslingers and Godless? No. This is the campaigns are definitely going to be written from the sense that any faction could be participating. When you read through the narrative of this, no matter what faction you're playing, it makes sense that you're doing it versus the more pointed stories like Godless and stuff like that.
Want to hand me the cards real quick? So someone asks, are these standard? Yes, these are standard American card size. So yeah, you can go to your local hobby store and pick up some sleeves and protect them and keep them nice. Definitely recommend doing that. I sleeve all of my board games. I have doubled the cost of my collection just in sleeves, basically.
Quasar says, I came in late. Do you play 2 scenarios each tier, 1 for each agenda? No, basically, every player needs to play 1 scenario where they are the protagonist, which says where on the tree they go next, and then any remaining games they play against other people are as the antagonist. So more often than not, it will be 2 games per player per tier, but that changes depending on what you're doing.
Benjamin something, I apologize, for the 1 card that gives you the free solo.
Yes.
Can we pick an out-of-theme solo? I believe the intent is that, no, you have to follow standard list construction.
Yes.
But again, if you and your friends decide that it's way more fun to just throw some cool solo into your list that has no business being there in the theme forces, then do it.
Yeah, the intent is definitely follow army building normal rules, but like you said.
Yeah, in general, you can pretty much assume that any card or anything we reference, it applies to standard list building, whatever the rules for that may be.
Yep. And that looks like most of the big questions. We answered a lot of them as we went. So we've been going about 50 minutes. We know a lot of people's lunch breaks are ending, so we will go ahead and get out of here for today. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget, if you want to play the Oblivion campaign, it's going to be at your local store September 13th. So the box set's finally hitting. And join us tomorrow for Get Your Paint On with Jordan. Tony, what's he painting? Do you know?
I got the email and I
He's
forgot.
painting, yeah, he's painting the Void Archon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, he's painting the Void Archon?
Yes.
Super sweet.
This model is sick.
And then next week for the dev chat, we will be doing Riot Quest, I believe. Or are we doing Monster Apocalypse? I don't remember. I know when we do the Riot Quest one, we have some fun stuff to talk about.
I will be
You'll be in Japan.
boarding my plane to LA for my layover, but I might jump on my phone and get in chat and
Hang out and troll us.
yeah, I don't remember what the exact time is. I think it's actually like 10 a.m. same time we start. So
All right, we're out of here, everybody. Take
Thanks,
it
everybody.
easy. See you next time. Be safe. Bye.
Bum 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 bada bum bada bum 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 meow 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 meow.